Thank you. And if you can, this meeting is, okay, yes. And if you can't hear for whatever reason, please just say something in the chat box, and hopefully we can get it resolved. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2020 AS elections debates. We want to thank you all for making that effort come. I know times are really tough and there's a lot of uncertainty going on, but we really appreciate you being here, and we value your continued desire to serve on the board of directors and your effort. Before we get to the debates, we just want to go over some logistics. So during the debates, we kindly ask that you mute your microphones and you turn your video off after my welcoming speech. So if your video is on right now, that's completely okay. But once I finish my speech, please turn your video off unless it's your turn to speak. We want to minimize the distractions for the candidates. Peyton Robinson, our SEC events officer, will be taking attendance and will reach out if you leave the Zoom meeting. It is expected that all candidates remain on the Zoom throughout the entire duration. We also kindly ask that your name, if you haven't already done so. You can click on the top in the 3 dots in the top right corner. Oh, I'm going to speak a little bit slower. So if you haven't changed your name, please do so. You can click on the 3 dots in the top right corner of your screen. So put your name, dash whatever position you're running for if you're a candidate. Kylie Kim, who is our ethics officer, will be helping keep track of time. Her screen will be on the entire time. Before it is your turn to debate, please do your best to see her. You can adjust who you can see by clicking on the icons in the top right corner. She will visually remind all candidates when you have 15 seconds left by holding a 15-second sign reminder, and she will give you a 5-second countdown using her fingers. When time is up, you will hear a buzzard and you will be allowed to finish your sentence, and you might get cut off. The timer will begin after the question is asked by Chris Court, the opinion editor from the Spartan Daily. He will be hosting and moderating the debates after I speak. As a reminder, you have 1 minute for your opening statements, 90 seconds to answer each question asked, 30 seconds for rebuttals if applicable, and 45 seconds for any questions asked from the audience, or questions gathered from Instagram. Any questions from the audience are encouraged, and if time allows, they would be asked. If our Zoom meeting gets crashed, we have a backup Zoom ready. I will send an email to all SEC members, all Spartan Daily members, and all candidates with the link and the password to avoid further disruption. So if you do not fall within those 2 categories, you will not get an invite to join the meeting, but this meeting will be recorded and posted eventually. After that email is sent, you will have a 5-minute gap to get on the new Zoom link before we get started. So we'll allow 5 minutes from when the email is sent for you to log into Zoom again, and then we'll continue where we left off. This Zoom will be recorded and will be shared on our different platforms. If you need to, you can change the Zoom view, and if you have any technical difficulties during the Zoom, please contact Sam. In some previous emails, we sent you her phone number, and you can also email her. You can also use this chat box. I also sent you an email earlier today giving you my personal number. So we're really here to advise you, to help you. If you're having any difficulties, please let us know. And that is all for my speech. I'm gonna just give like 2 minutes for questions, like 2 minutes. Does anybody have any questions, any point of clarifications? Did I not make sense? I wanna make sure that we're all on the same page moving forward. So please unmute yourself if you have a question, if you wanna ask something. I apologize, it seems like my computer is lagging, but my internet is lagging. Any questions?
I have one.
Yes, I don't know where you are, but go ahead.
Sorry, Cadence Walker.
Awesome. What's up, Cadence?
By opening statement, you're referring to the initial question for each position, right?
No. So in the debate logistics that I sent, you all have 1 minute for opening statement, and this is just an opportunity for you to share your platform. Like, hey, my name is Cynthia, I'm running for president, blah, 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 blah. So that's your opening statement. You're going to be asked 2 questions, and if you have opponents, you'll have time for a rebuttal for each question.
Right. All right.
So does that make sense for everybody? Everybody has 1 minute. I can go over it again. So 1 minute for opening statement, 90 seconds to answer question 1. If you have an opponent, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal, but it's not required. For question 2, you continue to have 90 seconds. If you have an opponent, you have 30 seconds to rebuttal. And if you don't have an opponent, you don't have time to rebuttal because you're just debating against yourself. And then at the very end, there are some audience questions, and if you're being asked one, you will be allowed up to 45 seconds to answer that question. But you may not everybody is guaranteed an audience question. So audience questions can come from this chat, the Zoom chat, or they can come from the Instagram questions, any Instagram questions that we collected. Any further clarification, any questions? I would be more than happy to answer any questions right now. Going once, going twice. All right, so now that I am done with my welcoming speech, I am going to kindly ask you to turn off your video. This is to eliminate any potential distractions. The people who will have the video on throughout the entire duration will be Chris from the Spartan Daily and will be Kylie from the SEC team. So Kylie will be the timekeeper and Chris will be the moderator. I will not be showing my face just to eliminate any distractions. But like I said, you can always reach me. You can use the chat to communicate if you have any difficulties whatsoever. And when it's your turn to speak, just please show your camera and do your best to see everybody. I know there's only a maximum of faces that you can see on a screen, but do your best to always try to see Kylie. Kylie's probably more important than Chris. Just so you know how many seconds you have left to answer the question. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Chris once again. He is from the Spartan Daily, and he is the opinion editor. So, Chris, take it away.
Okay, cool. So, yep, she already introduced me, so you guys already kind of know who I am. We have a predetermined list that we'll be doing of what the order we'll ask questions. The list will go for the first question, second question, and opening statements, so it'll be the same order. So if you go first for one question, it'll be the same every time. So yeah, I don't necessarily have much to add, so I guess we'll just get started with opening statements. We will go first with people running for the co-curricular affairs. If I slaughter anyone's name, I'm extremely sorry, but I'll do my best. So the first opening statement will be from Shashwath Kopasetti, and they will have 1 minute to give us an opening statement.
All right. Hi, I'm Shashwath Kopasetti. I'm running for Director of Co-Curricular Affairs. I'm a fourth-year student in Industrial Tech, and I'm running my platform based on the fact that I feel that our campus lacks unity and spirit, and I think that comes from us being a commuter school, so that a lot of our students feel disconnected from our campus. I want to create events so that students can once again feel connected to our campus, students who feel left out of what's going on campus. I think the best way to do that is having big events that bring together everybody, like we do successfully every homecoming at Fire in the Fountain. I don't see why we can't have an event of this scale to bring everyone together in the springtime as well, so we have equal for both semesters. That's pretty much what I'm running my campaign on. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. We will move on then to Leland Palma.
Yes, hello. So, hi guys, my name is Leland Palma. I'm a transfer student from De Anza, majoring in communications, and I'm running for Director of Co-Curricular Affairs to create a food market. I like what Joshua said. I think creating events that are big are the best way to unify this community, and I want to take advantage of the diversity here on campus and diversity around us in SJ and give and help the community build up together. So yeah, thank you.
Sweet, perfect. All right, those are our two candidates from co-curricular affairs. So we're going to move on to legislative affairs. And the first to give a statement will be Cadence Walker.
All right, hi, hello. My name is Cadence Skywalker. I am running for Director of Legislative Affairs. I currently am a third year at SJSU, and really what I want to see on this campus as Director of Legislative Affairs is creating a campus of inclusivity and creating the ability for students to have academic success. I think really what sets me apart from other candidates is how involved I am on this campus. I am a member of Greek Life. I am in Pi Kappa Phi. I do a lot of community work, so I do a lot of community outreach. And I also really think that my knowledge of this position really gives me the ability to apply it in ways to its greatest abilities. Yeah, so I really want to see legislation implemented that helps fix financial aid and support students. Yeah.
All right. Moving on, we're going to go with Ashley Guerrero for her opening statement.
Hi. Point of clarification, Chris.
Yes.
Are you gonna do opening statements for everybody first and then go into the questions?
Yeah, I was hoping to get everyone's opening statement first, and then we'll roll back through the list with the first questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So I hope everybody is ready then, I guess. Okay. Continue.
Can I speak? Hello?
Did you have a question?
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, my name is Raj. Sorry, I joined the meeting a little late because I'm in India right now and it's currently 5:45 a.m. and I really missed the first 10 minutes. So I'm sorry about that part. So if you really allow me to start with the opening statement or something, I can do that.
Yeah, we haven't got to your opening statement yet, but we will get to it, and you'll have a minute allocated for an opening statement once we get around to you. We haven't passed you over yet.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. Okay, so we'll go back with Ashley Guerrero with her minute opening statement.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Guerrero and I'm a second year first generation political science student. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm campaigning for this position because I believe in the importance of being able to instill change through policy, effective communication, and dialogue. One of the reasons I'm campaigning for this position is because I'm the first in my family to attend college. And ever since starting here, I faced many challenges that I've had to overcome. And I really felt like I shouldn't be here, that I felt that imposter syndrome. So as soon as I started becoming involved, I felt that you can actually make a difference by building community. I think that the thing that makes me most qualified for this position is the fact that I feel like I truly can relate to any student, or at least try to understand them, given that I've experienced many of the issues that this position would try to tackle. And yeah, I think I can do the best by advocating for students' rights and representation tackling sensitive and urgent campus issues.
Perfect, thank you. We will move on to Shivam Patel for a 1 minute opening statement.
Hey everyone, my name is Shivam Patel and I'm running to be your next Director of AS Legislative Affairs. The position is vital for me and for students as it helps pass legislation at the local, state, and federal level. And I've actually been on this committee for the past 2 years, and I'm proud to say that I've gained the necessary skills and experience to take on this role. I've created personal relationships with our local representatives and therefore have the experience to communicate to them which issues students care about the most and how we want it solved. While campaigning, many students have actually reached out to me and told me that they appreciated me running and bringing light to the concerns they have. For example, advocating for a financial aid system that isn't broken and that actually reflects the total cost of attendance. Also creating a centralized messaging platform that connects members of AS and organizations to students. And lastly, improving campus experience for first-generation low-income LGBTQ+ and undocumented students by creating emergency funds in times of need and creating a centralized local location for students of color, which is perfect for Heritage Month celebration and cultural celebrations. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you. We'll move on to academic affairs. Anoop Kaur will go first. Well, she'll go 1 minute statement. Sorry.
Hey Spartans, my name is Anoop Kaur, pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm honored to run again to serve another term as your Associated Students Director of Academic Affairs. Currently serving as your director, it has been my privilege to set up the new Academic Affairs Committee, which is made up of 9 college representatives whom I work with. This year, chairing my own committee, I have learned how to make collective goals come to light through events, fostering relationships, and outreach. Additionally, serving as a student senator, I have worked on general education updates, ethnic studies, a sense of Senate resolution entitled On Maximum Flexibility and Support of SJSU Students During the COVID-19 Pandemic, and advocating for credit no credit. I hope to continue to seek student input and provide key feedback when it comes to policies that affect our education. Thank you for allowing me to serve one term. If elected again, I will continue to prioritize the concerns of students, advocate for your educational needs, and foster inclusive representation in education. Your voice, your vote matters, so please vote. Thank you.
All right, perfect, thank you. Moving on to business affairs. Raj Shah, 1 minute opening statement.
Yeah, am I able to, am I visible right now?
You are on screen, we can hear you, but we cannot see your face.
It says that you can't start your video because the host has stopped it. Oh, okay. Now I can.
There we go.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Raj Shah. I'm a sophomore at San Jose State, and this is the first time I'm running for the AS student government position, and I'm running for the position of Director of Business Affairs because I've always been inclined towards running for the AS student government, especially when finance or economics was there. I was always inclined more towards business part, and even in my first year, I joined the RHA as the hall representative and as the membership growth officer at Ideas Club. And now that I've got an opportunity to run for the AS student government, or at least run for the position, I'm sure that I want to solve the purpose of getting more students in the community and get involved with the student government so that I can help students improve their career and future and help them with greater network of opportunities in that.
Perfect, thank you. We will move on to intercultural affairs with Christopher Acosta's opening statement.
Hello, how's everybody doing today? Can everybody hear me well? Okay. Hello, Spartans. I'm Christopher Acosta. I'm a third-year political science major and a philosophy minor. Given my passion for politics and contributing to the advancement of my community, I'm running for the position of Director of Intercultural Affairs because, like many of you, every day I'm inspired by the diversity that makes the Spartan community home. Being a minority in America, we are constantly facing new obstacles as they come in many shapes and sizes. I firmly believe that cultural diversity at San Jose is an indication of our institution's progressive values and communal acceptance. And it is up to my peers and myself to uphold SJSU's goal of multicultural competence, given its agenda is under attack every day. If elected, I intend to include, protect, and serve our campus's minority communities while leading the celebration of differences.
Perfect, thank you so much. We will move on to internal affairs with Flor Jimenez.
Candidate for Director of Internal Affairs this year. And my goal, as mentioned before, was to go ahead and provide the best resources for every single one of the Spartans at school, and also make sure that we're all having, well, first of all, they're having their voices spoken or heard throughout all of us, especially through me, because I am going to be working with a lot of like government documents and making sure like the rules are actually enforced in the proper way. So yeah.
Perfect, thank you. We will move on now to Student Resource Affairs with Nina Chung.
Hers, and I'm honored to be running to be your AS Director of Student Resources Affairs. I'm a Bay Area native and second-year undergraduate pursuing nutritional science with concentration in dietetics and a minor in chemistry. As a fellow student, I look forward to serving you, not only supporting success on campus, but also raising awareness for opportunities that help make your voice heard. Student success is reflected through the communities we are a part of and our life after university. Developing ways for students to achieve their definitions of success through the many programs offered at State is one of my goals if elected to this position. I hope to be a small part of fostering your student excellence and experience beyond the classroom. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Director of Student Rights and Responsibilities with Delilah Gomez.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. My name is Delilah Gomez. I'm a third-year political science with a minor in studies. I am a first-generation college student, so coming to San Jose State has been a first in many ways for me. I have been a Strive for College mentor through the Chavez Community Center, and they serve on the core committee for ACE. And I want to use this role to empower students by enabling them to use their voice when confronted with a situation where they feel like their rights are neglected. So I want to do that or make that possible through a simplified access to policies that govern their experience. I want students to feel like they're part of an institution that cares for them and that they have a say in, so that we can foster a better college experience for all students. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Director of Sustainability Affairs, we have Jocelyn Jones-Trommel with an opening statement.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Jones-Trommel. I'm running for Director of Sustainability Affairs. I aim to assist associated students in enhancing student quality of life here on San Jose State University's campus. I intend to provide you further access to the tools necessary to incorporate sustainable practices into your daily lives. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We are now with the controller. First, we'll go Nicholas Kern with a 1-minute opening statement.
Hi, I'm Nicholas, and well, I'm a third-year global operations major, and I think the most important thing for you to know about me as a candidate is that I know how to make really good chocolate chip cookies. So we'll see how those skills play into my candidacy. Thank you.
All right, moving on to Flor Sario with a 1-minute opening statement.
Hello everyone, my name is Rosario and I'm currently a 4th-year student majoring in Business Management Information Systems with a minor in Chicano Studies. I am a proud first-generation college student and have been relentless in my pursuit of higher education while being an undocumented woman of color. Throughout my 4 years at San Jose State, I have been heavily involved with different branches of the campus community. I've worked as a student success leader for the Chicanx Latinx Student Success Center. I've served as president of Grupo Folklore Corona y Sol, and I currently work as a student assistant for the College of Health and Human Sciences, as well as serving as your director of business affairs. The morphing of all of these experiences makes me confident in saying that I am ready and equipped to take on the role of AS controller. I am thankful for this past year in being able to represent all of you through the role of Director of Business Affairs. Now I'm seeking to serve a second term on Associated Students, this time as your controller, because I want to continue my contribution to over 120 years of ongoing legacy, advocacy, and putting students' needs first. San Jose State has impacted my life in more than one way, and my drive is to give back and continue to enhance the Spartan experience for current and future Spartans. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We will go on to Vice President now with Brennan Quoke with a 1-minute opening statement.
Hold on, sorry. It's Quack, my bad. I just want to let you know. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Sounds good, thank you. All right, let me start. Hi, everyone. My name is Brennan Quack, and I'm running for the position of Vice President. I'm a third-year communication studies major with a minor in business. The reason why I'm running for this position is to influence and lead the diverse community that we call San Jose State. More specifically, I would like to advocate for students towards administration to create a more transparent connection with faculty and staff. I believe that we can strengthen the Spartan community through the transparency and grow not only as a school, but as individuals within our own future prospective careers.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Moving on, we have Wesley Sullivan with a 1-minute opening statement.
Good afternoon, Spartans. My name is Wesley Sullivan, pronouns he, him, his, and I'm running for Vice President. I'm a second-year business major, a member of Greek life in Delta Sigma Phi, and an RA in CV2. I learned a lot about students' problems as an RA in CV2 through a lot of personal connections with students and understanding what they struggle with in their different communities on campus. I hope to be able to understand these injustices and push to represent students on campus. and also better represent their needs, creating a better sense of community and by supporting campus events and student orgs. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the last position for president, we have Zobita Delgadillo with a 1-minute opening statement.
Hi everyone, my name is Savita Delgadillo. I'm a third-year political science major. I currently serve as a director of legislative affairs. I've been involved with AS for almost 3 years now. My experience with AS has exposed me to a lot of ongoing obstacles students face on campus, which is why I'm a strong advocate for fostering a sense. Oh. Perfect. Hello everyone. My name is Ada Delgadillo. I'm a third-year political science major. I currently serve as a director of legislative affairs. I've been involved with AS for almost 3 years now. My experience with AS has exposed me to the ongoing obstacles students face on campus, which is why I'm a strong advocate for fostering a sense of community, safety, and opportunity through more transparency and accessibility on campus, which is essential in paving the way for student success. Being a first-generation college student, my journey in higher education has had several obstacles, but through my experience, involvement, knowledge, and connections, I've been fortunate enough. I've been privileged to take full advantage of what SJSU has to offer, which has been thanks to the legacy, activism, solidarity of others before me, and which I hope to continue as AS president. That is all. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so that's everyone's opening statement. We're going to move on to now questions. We're going to go in the same order we did, and I'll call out name by name. And instead of going one at a time, we're going to do question 1, have everyone respond, allow time for rebuttals. Then do question 2, which will be individual questions, and allow for rebuttals as well, instead of going through the list fully. So we will start back up with co-curricular affairs. And the first question will be asked to everyone, and we'll break it down one at a time. So the first question is, in what ways would you increase student engagement with the community? And first to answer would be Shashwath Kopasetti, and you have 90-second response.
All right, so our current food service app that we use is Boost, which only promotes businesses on campus. And to help recovery after COVID and increasing local community engagement, I think we should switch to a model where we promote restaurants and businesses around the surrounding campus that have given us student discounts in the past or currently still give us student discounts, which builds a relation from our school to the businesses as well as the students to the businesses. I also want to increase volunteer incentives in Greek life, making it a bigger part of acquiring laurels. And I would like to also add an RSO award to recognize the most philanthropic club. Finally, I would like to say that people see events happening on campus, but don't necessarily know how to get involved. So I think we need to increase our awareness campaigns to promote working with AS. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, same question will go to Leland Palma. The question is, in what ways would you increase student engagement with the community?
Awesome. Yeah, so the ways I'll increase student engagement within this community is by creating events that people like. For example, people love good food, and I want to create events that are centered around this aspect. With that being said, I want to create events that are accessible, that happen on campus so that it's easy for people to go in and check it out and see what the events are about. And along with that, I want to create events like these to help smaller organizations, smaller clubs to build up and increase their standing within the community. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. We will have 30 seconds if either of you would like a rebuttal for whatever statement was answered to the question.
I think I'm good.
What kind of events were you thinking of to place on campus? Because I see that we do have a lot of events that do happen on campus, but we don't necessarily have people showing up to those events. It's
Alec, Rebels ask questions to me.
Yeah, so you'll answer his question. You'll have 30-second response after he finishes asking.
Do you mind repeating the question one time?
I was saying you had you wanted to add more events. I feel like we already do have events that happen on campus often. It's just that we have problems with people attending those events. So how would we increase, what kind of events specifically would you want to add?
So the main event I want to do is that food market. With the food market, it will be visible to everyone. And I wanted to create those big events like you said, right? Creating big events like those, easy visibility. People can go to them whenever they want. They don't need to look through social media. It's just there and they can check it out when where they're at. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. And did you have a rebuttal question for him, Leland?
No, you're good.
Okay, we will move on to the second question for you both. These will be individual questions, and you will be able to ask a rebuttal, but you will not be asked the same question. So the first question will go with Shashwath, and the question is, how should the school attempt to make the campus more commuter friendly?
All right, so the average commuter on an average day is concerned about 3 things: how to beat traffic, getting parking, and getting to class. Since purchasing another parking garage isn't fiscally feasible, what we can do is provide them with a reason to stay on campus. As it stands, the school itself lacks spirit, and without spirit, you're going to get low attendance at sporting events and just other events that happen on campus. The one time a year that I see people staying after hours at school for an event is Fire at the Fountain. I want to create another event of the same scale in the spring semester. This event will help showcase the best of our school in terms of our clubs and athletics, and this will in turn pump our school spirit, which I believe at the end of the day will increase the inclusivity on campus and attendance at events. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, and Lillian, do you have a rebuttal question for him with regards to that statement?
No. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on to your question then. Your question will be, what type of events do you think students are most interested in attending?
So events that are accessible is what will bring people. Events that have, or every student has different schedules and different interests, but they all have to be on campus sometime of the day. With having events that take place on campus during the day, it will be easy for people to attend. So along with having events with good food, making events that are accessible, easy for people to go to is what I think students will be most interested in attending. Yeah, thank you.
And did you have a rebuttal question to that, Shashwath?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. And all right, you both are done with your first 2 questions, and we will move on now then to legislative affairs. All right, and the first overarching question we have is, are there any current legislative bills concerning CSU students that you wish to bring to the board's attention? And the first answer to this will be Cadence.
All right. As Director of Legislative Affairs, it's important to realize you essentially serve as the legislative voice for the students on this campus. I know that in this position, my top priority would be creating an inclusive campus that will be conducive of academic achievement. The type of legislation I would advocate for would reflect such goals. AB 307 is a homeless youth grant program, and then there's also AB 1314, which reforms the Cal Grant, basically consolidating all 3 of them and reducing barriers to access it. And then SB 461, which promises to provide financial aid to students wanting to take summer courses, I believe would help students graduate in a timely manner. It is this kind of legislation like this that I believe alleviates the many compounding stressors that make up the overall financial burden of college. Students need to focus on being students, not if they can afford housing or books or even where they will sleep. In today's society, college is becoming less of a choice and more a necessity, especially in California. We need to focus on helping those who are most vulnerable and the neediest of financial aid. And those are the kind of students that I want to help succeed. Yeah.
All right, perfect. We will move on to Ashley, who I want to make sure she's in the call.
Hi, yes.
Perfect. Sweet. All right, same question. Are there any current legislative bills concerning CSU students that you wish to bring to the board's attention?
Yes, an assembly bill that I would want to bring board to the attention is Assembly Bill 2023, which would require UCs, CSUs, and community colleges to update former students' records to include their students' updated legal name or gender if the institution receives any type of proof, government-issued documentation demonstrated that their name has been changed. I think it's important to allow former and current students to be able to update their names because their name plays a big role in their identity, and a lot of students face discrimination based off like their gender, and I wouldn't want future Spartans to have to go through that, and I would want people who also are alumni to be able to like share, like be able to have that their name reflect who they are. And that's it.
Perfect. We will go on to Shivam Patel. Same question. Are there current legislative bills concerning CSU students that you wish to bring to the board's attention?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. So, as the Director of Legislative Affairs, it's important to review and help pass legislation at the local, state, and federal level. And if we're specifically talking about the state level, as Cadence mentioned, it's important to advocate for students' rights, making it more accessible to attend college. And if you check out my website at shivampatel.org, in the individual specific platforms, you can see specific and detailed legislation that I'd like to pass. Couple which were already mentioned were AB 1314, which is the Cal Grant Reform Act, Senate Bill 461, which puts Cal Grants for the summer, and others is AB 532, which is the California CSU Parking Fairness Act. So it makes the purchase price of each student parking permit lower than the purchase of campus employee parking permit. I think it's important, as I'm a commuter myself, the majority of the campus commutes.
Yo, why are you flexing with the AirPods?
What?
What?
I'm sorry. There seems to be somebody who's trying to hack our meeting. You can finish what you were saying, Shivam, once you're done. And if they continue to come back, we have a backup link ready. So we removed him. Just to clarify, we removed him. They might continue to come back, and if they do, I have another link ready, and I will send you all an email. So I apologize for having to disrupt you, Shivam. Feel free to start over or just continue where you were. What do you want to do?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I'm just probably just going to keep going. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go.
No, thank you for that. So yeah, as I was mentioning, AB 532, which makes the purchase price for the permits lower than the purchase price for an employee parking. It's important that we push for cheaper parking because parking is super expensive on campus. I paid over like $3-something. It was like $380 or something. It was insane. And another one is SB 660, which is post-secondary education mental health counselors. So it requires CSUs for one full-time equivalent. I'm quoting this: one full-time equivalent mental health counselor with an applicable California license per 1,500 students enrolled at each of their respective campuses. I know there's a huge issue on, mental awareness and mental health is such a big thing on our campus. And I know many students have actually reached out to me while I've been campaigning that it's so hard to get a therapist or talk about their concerns. So these are some of the bills I would also like to push. And for more details about my ideas and my platform, feel free to check out my website. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And for the opening question for Legislative Affairs, did anyone have a rebuttal to any specific candidate?
I actually had a rebuttal. It's for both candidates. So as the Director of Legislative Affairs, that you have to look and pass and advocate for legislation on all branches, including the CSU system. So I just wanted to ask the candidates if they have any ideas in mind of how they want to push for change at CSSA, which is the advocating group on campus. Like for me, I know I want to highlight the work they're doing with AB 2003, which calls for community college menstrual products to be provided for free on campus. And I know CSSA is working on a resolution with UC Davis, Free the Period, to expand on this. And in other words, we adding menstrual equity across this UC, CSU, and community college systems.
Okay, we'll go in reverse order. So Ashley, you have 30 seconds to respond to his question.
I would say one of the most important things is doing our research. And by doing that, not only can we be able to expand on why we can actually make a difference. I feel like through the research that we do, like within the students on campus, like we get insight from students on campus, and from there we can like use that to advocate, because that's like, I think one of the main things you have to do first.
Okay, thank you. And Cadence, you also have 30 seconds to respond to his question.
Yeah, so definitely what I would want to see going into the new year, especially dealing with COVID and this huge pandemic right now, is I want to ensure that our tuition doesn't increase. So I definitely would like to work with CSSA on topics like that. It's estimated, I mean, it could be said that enrollment would go down considerably, and that's going to cut into our budget. So although the chancellor has said he doesn't plan on lowering or increasing tuition, it's not off the table. So I definitely want to make sure that does not happen.
Okay, perfect. And did Cadence or Ashley have a rebuttal question for anyone? No for Cadence, and then Ashley, I can't see yours. Did you have a rebuttal?
After some research I've done, my question would be, how would you advocate for these bills after they haven't passed for the past 2 years? Like, what would you do that's different from these past 2 years to advocate for such bills?
And is this for both candidates?
Yeah, because they're both advocating for the Cal Grant reform.
Okay, we'll start with Shivam. You have 30 seconds to respond.
Yeah, great question, Ashley. So I actually, being on the committee for 2 years, I've built personal relationships with local state representatives. And I've actually been to Sacramento many times actually. One event that I've actually been on is called CHES, it's College of Higher Education Student Summit. And it's where we actually all go together and advocate to our state representatives about increasing, the Cal Grant and increasing financial aid for students. So having the relationship, the personal relationships with the local officials here, I have the experience that I can just go up to them and tell them what issues our students face.
Right, and Cadence, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Yeah, so amazing question. When it comes to politics, there are a lot of skeptics. And so I think what is really important is getting the support of the people. While I have been to CHES multiple times and I have been a part of Lobby Corps for almost 2 years now, and I have also had the opportunity to make those connections, I think that by informing students of the opportunity that reforming Cal Grant can, of what reforming Cal Grant can do for them, it's really going to create a groundwell of support for the movement and push it forward. Anything can happen. We are students and we are strong and we can make it happen.
All right, perfect. Thank you. We will move on to now individual questions. And Cadence, you will get your first question here. How do you plan to implement a policy that would cover the cost of books and on-campus housing?
Yeah, so great question. As Director of Legislative Affairs, you work heavily alongside CSSA, and their goal, just like mine, is to provide students in the CSU system, meaning this very campus, the opportunities to graduate in 4 years with little to hopefully no financial debt, if possible. You can accomplish such goals not with expedience, but with many different policies that build a foundation for support for San Jose State students. So there's no one bill to instantly give every student money for all books and for all on-campus housing. But as director, I certainly plan to act as a conduit and advocate for those very policies that I know our students deserve. Financial aid needs to actually reflect the true cost of attendance. So that's what I want to do. I know that because of this unfortunate pandemic, that there's probably a lot of leftover money in AS. So I would love to see perhaps maybe increasing book vouchers. Those are constantly running out every year. So it's small incremental policies like that are involved in our school, and then also state and federal policies that we can advocate for that I believe are going to benefit our students the most.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Do either Ashley or Shivam have a rebuttal question for his answer? No? All right. We will move on to Ashley's direct question, which is, what is one student concern at the top of your priority list that you want addressed?
All right. A top concern me and many students have on their mind is how the university is going to address this ongoing pandemic, given the uncertainty of COVID-19, how does the school plan to move forward, and what does that mean for tuition, CSU fees, and housing? Like I said, given the uncertainty of this pandemic, if classes are moved online the following fall semester, what resources would the school provide to students to adjust to remote learning and to make remote learning accessible to students of different populations? So overall, how would the university plan on preparing for disasters like this in the future to better accommodate to students' needs? And yeah.
All right, and do either of the other two candidates have a rebuttal question?
Yeah, I kind of have one. So maybe what would be some of the plans that you would like to implement onto for the school to implement for if that were to happen?
If remote learning were to happen fall semester, I think the school should provide laptops for all students. Given that a lot of students use the resources on campus, like the rental laptops, I feel like given that we're not going to be using a lot of the resources we usually use on campus, I don't see why the money that's usually allocated for those resources can't be used for giving us laptops to be able to access like our online classes. And yeah.
Okay, and Shivam, did you have a rebuttal question?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to add on to that. I just had one question. So I liked your idea of giving students, the laptop to, to access their online education. Sorry, I was blanking out. But my question to you is just as devil's advocate, would you think that, a lot of people already have, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people I know have access to a laptop. Do you think maybe like some of those, instead of giving laptops to everyone, do you think some of those funds could go into other resources, such as, 13% of students face homelessness on San Jose State, about 41% face food insecurity. So, there's also a lot of other issues at the table, especially with this unprecedented pandemic. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree, of course, that a lot of people have laptops. I think people who do have laptops can probably like make a decision between one thing or another, like, oh no, I don't need this laptop. Like, I'd rather help out other students who are going through a lot because of this pandemic. And those are my ideas so far.
Okay, we are going to move on to Shivam's question. And your question is, what is your end goal for lobbying for financial aid?
Yeah, awesome. So, financial aid is something very crucial to me. I'm actually a Pell Grant recipient. And coming from a first generation college student and low income, I know what it means to, save every penny. So, having a full ride this year actually means a lot to me. And I really want to advocate for the rest of the students on campus. And as I mentioned, about 13% of SJSU students and about 10% across all CSUs face homelessness. SJSU is actually number one on that. And about 41% of students across CSUs, which is about 196,000 students, face food insecurity. And actually, on average, so with everyone's tuition, on average, 22% of the total cost of attendance is tuition. And in 2017 and 18, 59% of students had their tuition fully covered, but unfortunately had to make up the 78% of the other costs. So there are, we are getting money, but there is a lot of room for improvement. And I think advocating for those issues is very important. As I mentioned before, I've been on this committee for the past 2 years, and I've actually made the relationships with these local assembly members and senators. And as I mentioned on the previous assembly bills, Assembly Bill 1314, Senate Bill 461, and Assembly Bill 542, those are bills that I'd like to push on our Capitol. Sorry.
All right, and do Ashley or Cadence have a rebuttal question for his statement? Cadence, no. Okay, and Ashley, did you have one? No. All right. We will move on then. The next 7 positions will be unopposed, so there'll be no rebuttals, and it'll just be the straight on 2 questions that are asked. We will start off with Academic Affairs with Anoop Kaur. And Anoop, your first question will be, how would you use information collected from the Campus Climate Survey to better serve the academic needs of students?
All right, so I would like to preface this question by saying that the Campus Climate Survey is open until May 8th. So if you haven't already, please take that survey. The results will guide the concerns that Campus Climate Survey Advisory Group in the fall will focus on. So it's very influential in ensuring that your voice, your concerns are heard. So once the information is collected, I will review the data alongside campus partners. I'm going to specifically look for academic needs that are not addressed and see where my role can better assist and advocate for them. I will hope to work with campus administrators, the Academic Senate, the Academic Affairs Committee, and the AS Board as a whole to develop pathways in which we can address concerns brought up. I also hope to better flesh out those concerns by working with college representatives as they can better represent each specific college so as to address every unique student need. One of my key focuses, if elected again, is to increase recruitment of college representatives. As this is a new position this past year, it was harder to recruit for the position. I hope to start recruiting as early as May 1st so that the committee may be filled by the time fall 2020 semester begins. That way we can all be more effective as a committee to address academics needs in all 9 colleges. All academic affair meetings are public as dictated by the Gloria Romero Act, Open Meeting Act of 2000. I encourage students who have concerns or unmet academic need to attend our meetings, which take place every 2nd and 4th Wednesday from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We were going to go into your second question since you were unopposed. You kind of went into this a little bit, but kind of just elaborate more on what you can improve to your specific position and what would you want to improve about AS as a whole?
All right, thank you for that question. So I'm going to answer that question in 2 parts. Regarding improvements in my position specifically, I first hope to fulfill events that we were unable to complete this past semester. One event the Academic Affairs Committee came up with was the Let's Talk About It event, which was an event focused on meeting the deans and the college representatives of your respective college. This is just to develop relationships between university admin and students. I would also like to continue the legacy of Diversity Day. Starting off in AS my freshman year, this event sparked my interest in pursuing more leadership, and I hope to reschedule it to the fall semester. I would also like to further develop the advising handbook that the Academic Affairs Committee had worked on this past semester and ensure that this resource is distributed so all students may benefit from the past year committee's work. Furthermore, in my position, if elected again, I hope to host satellite office hours to be more readily acceptable to students so that all needs can be met. Regarding AS as a whole, something I would like to do if elected again is to educate people on the structure of AS. Oftentimes, we get confused with being part of the president's cabinet or being some university-owned entity. Although we do work closely with the university, we are our own organization with 7 different departments and aim to voice and represent all SJSU students. With that being said, it is important that you vote so that you can have a say in who represents you and your voice. Thank you for your time. I know these times are hard and difficult and constantly evolving, but let's continue to build community. Spartan up.
Sweet, thank you. We will move on now to Business Affairs, which is another unopposed position. Raj Shah, we will have 2 questions. Your first question will be, one of your responsibilities is to analyze, evaluate, and present to the board results of data acquired from students which reflect the SJSU's needs. How familiar are you with data collecting and privacy concerns?
So I feel that data privacy and collection is a tricky subject, especially in the world we live in today. Analyzing and evaluating the right type of data can help us make predictions about the best course of action needed, and it's based totally on past events and legislations. This can help us through surveys, talking to students, faculty, and maybe professionals outside the campus community if needed. But I understand that this data is very confidential, and I understand that it is my responsibility, if elected, to keep the personal information that I may get access to safe, because we are in a diverse group of society. We are in a group of society which has a diverse community, and everyone's opinion is respected, but not everyone's opinion is liked by the other person. So it's totally important, and I totally understand the professionalism in keeping the data safe and with me if I get the chance. Thank you.
Okay. And your second question is, in your platform, you said that collaboration is key to success. What departments do you wish AS would work more closely if you are elected?
So one of the issues I want to address is increase student attendance and involvement on campus. This might seem like a small issue for some people, but I can assure you it's not. I've been on campus.
This guy?
Sorry? Sorry?
I'm sorry. I'm not too sure who interrupted you, but we'll go ahead and give you like 20 more seconds to continue. Please just continue wherever you left off.
All right. This might seem like a small issue, but I can assure you it's not. I've been on campus and I understand the importance of having an involved and active community. A lot of students come to San Jose State with a lot of dreams and hopes because there are a lot of students who are also out-of-state students or international students like myself. And the point is that they are away from the home and come to SJSU with certain dreams. And I really hope that I can work with the events department, the diversity and inclusion office at San Jose State, the International Student Services Office, and other clubs like Ideas Club or even the organizations like RHA to come and be a part of these events. The thing is, no one is going to attend if these if they don't see a reason to attend it. So we need to show the students a broader picture of why they have to attend the events, and that is basically getting network of opportunities, as I always mention that. And I think maybe having a chat with the clubs and organizations once in a while as to what their plans and meetings, about the next events are would actually motivate them and encourage them to collaborate with other clubs and would be a good start basically. So eventually, as we all know, that sky's the limit, but I do believe I got to start somewhere. So yeah, Spartan up.
Perfect, thank you. We'll move on now to Director of Intercultural Affairs, which is Christopher Acosta. Your first question will be, how do you look to handle xenophobia and discrimination on campus?
Ethnic, cultural, international, and non-traditional communities give individuals from all walks of life an opportunity for inclusion in their pursuit of happiness. As Director of Intercultural Affairs, it will be my top priority to maintain and protect the communities that make San Jose home, and acts of xenophobia and discrimination will not be tolerated and will be met with full accountability. In addressing the issue of discrimination, I believe the campus should institute a more personable discrimination support system for its students. Currently, the university's website, you will find an email address and a PDF form labeled Employee Discrimination Harassment Complaint Form. Given the form only addresses the needs of those employed by the school, I find SJSU's current methods to be archaic and in drastic need of improvement. As Director of Intercultural Affairs, I will modernize our campus's discrimination support system through campus-wide education that addresses the issues of discrimination clearly, provide support for those who need it, and provide face-to-face assistance. I also intend in utilizing our campus's student organizations in the forefront of the fight against discrimination. In collaboration with the campus's student orgs, through upholding anti-discriminatory practices and promoting inter-organizational events, we can promote a cause that holds all accountable for discrimination, all while celebrating our differences.
All right, thank you. Your second question will be, you serve as a peer advisor for university housing. What is the biggest issue you see with housing? SJSU's housing serves a monumental role in the daily lives of those students who plan to reside on campus. It plays a major influence on the mental health and the physical health of its students, and it plays an even more immense role on the academic success of each student. Given my role as a peer advisor was to provide, and still is to provide, personalized advising experiences for students in need, I found the biggest issue in housing is the underutilization of the campus resources amongst the students themselves. This is not the fault of the students, but the fault of the institution, as their means of communication are not up to date at all. Given this institution lies in the heart of Silicon Valley, I find it extremely disappointing that the extent of the promotion of our resources and events is a flyer in the lobby in the building in which we reside. It is imperative for a student to be knowledgeable of what the institution provides for them. I've sat through countless tutoring sessions, academic events, and resource tabling sessions where student attendance was near zero. Our institution must take steps towards modernizing its
UHS website to better promote resources and events for its students. I would also like to emphasize the importance of stressing or expanding the peer advising staff and faculty in resident staff so that we can do our jobs at a greater capacity.
Right, thank you. We are going to move on now then to Director of Internal Affairs, which is Flor Jimenez. And your first question will be, the job requires organizing Associated Students' documents. How do you plan to officially organize the public information and make it more accessible for students to obtain?
Okay. Okay, can you guys see me? Okay, cool. So yeah, hi. A way I plan to collect and organize public information for students to understand is by maybe creating clubs that students are having difficulty with, such as promoting reading clubs and like associate students events that maybe they can get a little bit more familiar with, and also providing all the details of what it could also be about. For example, since I am running for Director of Internal Affairs, maybe I could be talking a little bit of what the rules are going to be expanding to and how different the institution could be. Also, as Director of Internal Affairs, this is the way that I wish to collaborate with the students in order for them to reach their point to success. Thank you.
Okay. And your second question will be, as Vice Chair of the board, how do you plan to support the chair?
Some ways that I wish to actually support the chair would be working with certain departments. Like, for example, a lot of people have been bringing up everything about financial aid. So like financial aid is one of them that are, you know, making it a lot more difficult for students to actually, they don't have enough money to actually go ahead and pay for their college classes. So one thing that I could do is actually go ahead and just like, you know, go ahead and just work with these certain departments like parking, financial aid, and talk to them a little bit and create like a little bit of a, I guess, just talk to them about it. And then the chair, bring everything up to the chair and just go ahead and fill in the details and talk to them about it. And, you know, but the students are actually going to be my biggest focus here. That way that they don't feel a little bit neglected, or they don't feel like we're not doing much enough, especially for me. And I don't want to be in that point. So I want to go ahead and just like help them out with it. And hopefully like I could go ahead and support the chair by that and just talking to certain departments to just make everything well the way that I should be.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on now then to Director of Student Resource Affairs. It's Nina Chung. Your first question will be, how do you look to vocalize student concerns about online classes with the SGSU administration?
Hi, it's Nina Chuang. So the first step is increasing student feedback. A good example was our hashtag SJSU updates, where current president-parent shared concerns, discussed topics, and responding to Instagram stories. One proposal I would make is to make the option of AS posting similar videos on the SAMI app, Facebook, and Twitter to utilize the many platforms associate students has. Utilizing online platforms is important for us to reach not only the Instagram population, but all students to ensure we're communicating the opportunity to have their questions answered. By doing so, we are able to increase accessibility of these resources because students have the information at hand. One problem on campus that is widely discussed is that students often do not utilize the resources on campus, which includes using your student voice to bring up concerns with administration. I noticed the SAMI app does not have the option for students to post videos or have a specific channel to post questions a student may have that could be made public to show that other students, that this is a discussion topic. Serving on multiple committees such as academic affairs, student success, and academic senate, if elected to this position, I'm able to not only get feedback from SGSU staff, but I'm also able to talk about these popular topics in face-to-face meetings. Thank you.
Okay, and your second question is, what do you think is the biggest roadblock that students face at San Jose State when it comes to diversity?
Starting a common conversation around diversity and inclusion issues on campus. We need to be more open and honest about the information such as statistics, opportunities, and support groups to the student body. More than 50% of the Spartan population are people of color. It's important for us to be represented through the efforts done by associate students, through clubs and orgs, but also by mentors and professors. This helps our campus climate by creating a comfortable space to embrace our identities. For example, as you can see, I'm an Asian American woman. In the past 2 years during my time at San Jose State before joining the Academic Affairs Committee, I only had 3 instances where I felt like there's a space I could freely talk about my experience and concerns regarding diversity with faculty on campus. These 3 places were my Asian American Studies class, the Eggers Research Lab, and going to a professor's office hours. Starting a common conversation on diversity and inclusion needs to be more prioritized to help our students feel welcomed and heard. In addition, the efforts made by San Jose State regarding diversity have made big steps in ensuring the atmosphere of inclusion. Let's advocate for this legacy that San Jose State has left for us student leaders to continue. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to Director of Student Rights and Responsibilities with Delilah Gomez. First question is going to be, how do you aim to vocalize student grievances?
Yes, so student grievances, I'd like to give a definition first of what it is an allegation of an unauthorized or unjustified act or decision by a member of the faculty or staff or an administrative officer in a way adversely affects the status, rights, or privileges of a student. So as Director of Student Rights and Responsibilities, I would like to first vocalize this by ensuring that students know that they have the right to file grievances, given that they feel their rights are being neglected. This can be achieved by using AS social media before the semester and periodically throughout to point out the ability to file a complaint. So also, I would like to make sure that students know where they can go to file a complaint, and this can be done by consolidating the link on the AS website. A director is given for the reason that students feel that or just to make sure that students know that they have rights as members of San Jose State. So I want to make sure that this information is accessible to everyone so that students that maybe don't know where to go to find this information can go directly to the AS website and have a tab on there so they know where to go next. Thank you.
Okay. And your second question is, what changes should San Jose State make to accommodate undocumented students?
Yes, so I'd like to start off by acknowledging the Undocu Center for their great work in inclusion and preparation for all undocumented students. I'd like to, in this role, highlight the resources and increase collaboration with the center. I think that together we can utilize social media to ensure students are aware of the resources available to them. We can also hold Know Your Right events so that we can better educate Spartans on how to interact with ICE and police, as well as a young professional with or without DACA. I'd also like to bring to the board the attention of the board supporting legislation such as AB 2972, which would require community colleges, CSUs, and UCs to administration to undergo a system-wide training program relating to undocumented students, DACA, and federal or state laws that relate to immigration. I'd like to bring this to the attention of the board and further collaborate with the next Director of Legislative Affairs and the Lobby Core Committee. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We are going to move on to the Director of Sustainability Affairs, which is Jocelyn Jones-Trammell. First question is, what are some ways you plan to address sustainability at San Jose State?
So I hope to continue our university's legacy in sustainability as best as I can through collaborating with associated students, the Sustainability Board, and the many resource centers on campus. I hope to broaden our campus efforts related to sustainability to include a greater presence / more principles related to environmental justice and social equity. I know this might already be happening, but it's my opinion it should be happening more. The inclusion of ideas on how race, gender, and class influence our students and their access to healthy environments.
Okay, and your second question is, what is the biggest obstacle or obstacles you see at San Jose State when it comes to environmental issues?
Making environmental justice more than a highlight in the sustainability report, but a priority in our university sustainability plan. The world is changing. We won't return back to normal after this crisis. And I think it's important to note that Black and Brown communities are most affected by the virus due to the effects of environmental racism and other forms of social inequities. So creating and perpetuating a campus conversation beyond the mainstream idea of being green is a necessary challenge to take on. because sustainability is not just about making good personal decisions to protect the earth. These decisions must protect the people living on it as well, like our students. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to controller, and controller is back with 2 candidates running. So we will do it like we did before, with the first question going to one person and then a chance to rebuttal. We'll start off with Nicholas. This question is, in the AS budget, there's an allocation of $2,500 for student organizations to request funds. How and why do you think you would be a good fit for allocating the money?
So we'll start with the why. I think I have a good plan for allocating the budget. And the way I would do it is I'm going to try and take out partiality. So the way it would work is right now we spread out the money just at the beginning of the year and we divvy it out. And if we run out at any point, that's it. So the way I would want to do it is to have half of it in the first semester and then the other half in the second, because I recognize that student organizations, they have needs for funding at different times of the year. So I want to make sure that organizations that need funding will be able to apply for it and have a fair chance of applying for it. And that's not based on when their events take place.
Okay. And Flor, before I ask you the same question, would you like a rebuttal question for Nicholas's statement?
No, I can just move on to my answer.
Yeah, go ahead. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I think I'm okay. Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, this year I've served as Director of Business Affairs, and given the structure of associated students, part of my responsibility as Director of Business Affairs is to serve as Vice Chair for the Finance Committee, which is the committee that reviews funding requests for recognized student organizations. As Vice Chair, I have experience chairing the Finance Committee, and this has given me tremendous insight on what exactly to look for and what questions to ask when reviewing and approving funding requests from recognized student organizations. Additionally, I am well versed with the various categories for which student organizations can receive funding for, the amounts, and the stipulations that are attached to said category. So for example, if a student organization is seeking to obtain AS travel funds and they are approved, it is under the stipulation that they will sign the AS travel waiver. Lastly, I have hosted several of the mandatory trainings required of student org leaders to attend in order for the respective organization to become eligible to receive AS funds. This process has allowed me to establish meaningful relationship with student org leaders, and this will be surely beneficial to me in aiding students through the process of applying and receiving funds. Because although it is the fiduciary responsibility of the controller to ensure that the $250,000 made available to recognize student organization is well spent, it is also the responsibility of the controller to help students in the process of applying and receiving the funds. It does nobody any good if the money's just sitting there. That's why I think I'd make a good fit in allocating the $2,500. Thank you.
Okay, and Nicholas, did you have a question to rebuttal her statement? I'm sorry, what was that?
No,
Nope.
I did not.
All right, I'll move on to
I did not, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll move on to your individual questions then. Nicholas, we'll go first with you. You said that in order to take over as controller, there needs to be a strategic plan. What ideas could you help to create a plan at CSU?
So, well, in light of the virus, I think that what we're going to see a lot of is just less campus activity. One of the best ways that we kind of get a beat on what the school is doing is through the student organization requests. And I think that in light of the fact that we may not be meeting on campus next semester, we're going to see a lot of drop off in activity. So I think that, you know, it's an important responsibility that we need to find ways to encourage people to use those funds to, you know, be part of the Spartan community, even when they can't be on campus. So I think some brainstorming sessions would be great for that.
Okay, and did you have a rebuttal question, Flor?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so your individual question will be, you led an initiative to lower AS scholarships GPA to 2.5. What other plans do you have to help students receive scholarships?
So I'd like to preface this question by saying that although I think that it's always good to look for new resources to offer to students, it is also good to examine current resources and evaluate them to see if they can be enhanced to better serve the current student population. So as you mentioned, this year I led the restructuring of the AS Scholarship Fund. And through this process, it was brought to my attention that there was one specific scholarship titled Environmental Champion Award that no one had applied for in years. This meant that the money allocated to that specific scholarship was going unused year after year. As a result, I decided to get rid of that scholarship and use the money to increase the dollar amount for other scholarships that are very popular among students. With that being said, I would like to continue helping students in the process of obtaining scholarships. And I think one of the biggest things I can do for students now is just raising awareness. The GPA requirement was not the only thing that was changed through this restructuring process of the AS Scholarship Fund. The requirement for a letter of recommendation was also removed, and the questions for each scholarship were rewritten to better fit each scholarship. I know these changes were made because I was part of the process, but I don't think the greater campus community knows yet. And I want to make sure that students know that applying for scholarships offered through associate students doesn't require all that much. Oftentimes when we hear the word scholarship, our first thought is, okay, how much work am I going to have to put into an award that I may not even get? As students, we are busy, and seeing a lot of requirements can be discouraging. I put in the work this year to make the process of applying for scholarships easier on students. And now I want to raise awareness so that we can give out all $70,000 worth of scholarships. And for those of you watching at home, make sure to apply for scholarships. The deadline is not till May 1st. Thank you.
All right. And Nicholas, did you have a rebuttal?
No rebuttal.
No? All right.
No rebuttal. Yeah.
Okay. We will move on then to Vice President. We will start off the first question. We'll go to Brendan. And the first question is, one of the committees the Vice President reports on is the Professional Standards Committee, which oversees faculty affairs. How do you plan on making the information covered by the committee more accessible for students?
First off, I'd like to say great question. But as in terms of the information that's provided within the Professional Standards Committee, it's actually posted on the SJSU website, the minutes as well as the agenda. In terms of how we can get this information out and more accessible to the students, I would like to use social media as a platform and emphasizing not only my office hours, but the office hours of all the entire board of directors. And a great example would be how Brandon Parent is currently posting videos on AS and telling us things like credit, no credit, and refunds on tuition and other things like that. That's, really it.
Okay. And Wesley, did you have a rebuttal question before you were asked the same question?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I think a lot of people often bring out new ideas for like social media and building new platforms to share information. So I just want to highlight, how do you think this will be a more useful technique than the current techniques that we do have, like book or board reports?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, in terms of social media and its usage, yes, it's already been used, and the ability of it is actually very diverse in what we can do with it. I know it's already been used, but what I'm trying to say is a huge thing that we can do is revitalize it to where not only we see it as people that are running for AS, but more so everyone that can see it.
Okay, and Wesley, did you need me to repeat the question, or are you good to answer?
No, I'm good to answer. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, first I just want to highlight how important this information actually is. So the PSC actually is going to recommend policies directly to President Papazian, which is really important. So thank you for the question. And going on how I plan on spreading this information, I think it's really important to build on what we already have. So we do have it on the website. We do have board reports and board meetings within AS, but I think that we need to build on our current technique, which is board reports. So I think that by making these really concise and focusing my efforts on this, I can make these board reports more informative, and then also being able to spread that information. So what I would like to do with this, if elected, is have it posted within AS and also in other student centers. So around the SU, also reach out to housing and have it posted in the dorms so people can actually see this information instead of just having it on Instagram where there's a few thousand followers that no one actually really checks. I think it would be a lot more impactful to have it in student centers where people actually are on campus.
Okay, and Brendan, did you have a rebuttal question for him?
No, I do not.
Okay, we'll move on to your specific question then. You said that one of your main goals is to make San Jose State have a better sense of community. What does that mean to you, and how do you plan on addressing that?
Sounds great. So a community to me is a place not only where I can feel comfortable, but where I can make a impact. As someone that is in multiple communities within SJSU, I believe that with such a diverse student population, we are a community that emulates Spartan pride. That's like my idea of community. But how I want to strengthen it is, like I said, utilizing not only social media, but student centers like the Student Union, Wellness Center, Event Center, and last but not least, the Spartan Recreational Aquatic Center. Basically connecting more with the director of co-curricular affairs, trying to get more events out there. I know we already have Fire on the Fountain, but I'm saying we have these more minor events that would happen on Tower Lawn. Like, for example, during finals, we have something called a dog day where we can, actually work with a local, a local shelter, animal shelter, and try and create more of like a stress-free vibe for everyone to be a part of.
Okay, and Wesley, do you have a rebuttal question for him?
No.
All right, we'll move into your question then. As an RA, what do you see as the biggest problem for San Jose State students who are living in SJSU housing, and how do you plan on addressing it?
So first, I want to address what Chris Costa said previously about a lack of attendance and utilization of resources. I think this is a huge problem, and I also think that needs a lot of work. But what I personally see is an inability to voice concerns within housing. Normally, the only way that students' voices are actually brought up to people that are higher up is through their RAs, and their RAs mentioning it in weekly meetings. But in reality, this is not that effective, and it's not able to bring a combined voice up to administration. One example of this, I think, is the DC. Specifically this semester, there was one thing that happened. The DC changed their hours after they already stopped students from being able to switch their DC plans. And pretty much people were stuck with DC plans that had way higher swipes and less dining dollars, and they couldn't even use them because the DC changed their hours after they stopped them from being able to change their plans. And pretty much there was no way for the students to voice this except to their RAs. And evidently the administration and Spartan Eats did not think that the students were as upset by this that they were. So pretty much there was not enough representation because there's no combined voice. And I think as AS vice president, if I were elected, I would learn a lot about, or I'd have more connections and more resources in order to put all of these complaints together into combined movement that actually sparks change on campus.
Okay. And Brandon, do you have a rebuttal question for him?
Yes, I do. So Wesley, you're focused a lot on SJSU housing, but as AS Vice President, you oversee the whole student body. So what do you have in terms of, embrace or kind of growing the community as, SJSU as a whole?
Yeah, great question. I think it might be misunderstood how I'm focusing on housing. The main thing for me is housing has been able to give me a perspective on different communities. So being an RA has brought me into other communities on campus, whether that be student orgs or Greek life. So I've been able to learn a lot about the campus, and through that, I'm able to represent people who are not only in housing, but are connected with residents and do not live on campus, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you both. We're going to go on to the final position of president with Zobita Delgadillo. First question will be asked, and it is, as AS president, what is your strategy to work with high-profile decision makers at SJSU when representing student interests?
I think it's crucial to be prepared to listen, collaborate, and understand and be mindful when working with high-profile decision makers to keep the best interests of students in mind. In the past, I've worked with administration on addressing students' needs, such as academic advising, basic needs, financial aid, and mental health services to cultivate an environment where students can grow and thrive. I hope to continue to bridges the gap between students and administration by reaching out to all forms of the community to ensure that all students are represented hello. So I believe it's crucial to be prepared to listen, collaborate, understand, and be mindful of working with high-profile decision makers to keep the best interests of students in mind. In the past, I worked with administration, addressing students' needs such as academic advising, basic needs, financial aid, and mental health services to cultivate an environment where students can grow and thrive. I hope to continue to bridge the gap between students and administration by reaching out to all forms of the community to ensure that students are being represented through collaboration and support with organizations and departments on campus to expand their reach and impact on campus, which helps students be properly informed and engaged. Addressing students' needs not only helps them well at SJSU, but outside the classroom as well, which is crucial because higher education paves a way for upward mobility and countless other opportunities in their lives. So I think overall, when it comes to representing students' interests, it's very essential that everyone comes from different walks of lives and they all have different experiences on campus. So encouraging students to never lose sight of why they're here and representing at all times is pivotal as I continue my advocacy.
Okay, and the last question is, as a CSSA representative, you put into place I Stand with Immigration Day. What other events would you want to put in place to represent immigrant students?
Yeah, so as a CSSA representative, we represent all students, although there was no correlation with me being a CSSA representative and me working on I Stand with Immigrants Day of Action. That was actually an event that I did as part of my director role with a collaboration with Undocu Spartans. I was fortunate enough that during my term as a director of legislative affairs, I was able to establish a strong relationship with the Undocu Spartans Resource Center, which allowed us to collaborate on this I Stand with Immigrants Day of Action. That campaign is heavily centered around reclaiming what it means to be an immigrant and celebrating immigrants in our community. This was done back in October, so it was a month before the Supreme Justices heard oral arguments in 3 cases challenging the Trump administration 2017 decision to rescind DACA. Circumstances like this provokes fear and uncertainty in the futures of many individuals and students. So bringing more awareness, but most importantly, inclusivity to our undocumented students is pivotal in ensuring that they get equal opportunities to everything that this university has to offer. As far as events, possibly hosting Undocumented Students Week of Action, which can help further support and build aware about undocumented students. There's various options to types of events that we can host, but overall, it's crucial to bring more awareness and support to our undocumented students. I'm very fortunate to be part of the AS board this year that allocated funds to DACA students, which allowed 30 students a semester to cover their renewal fee so they could have their permit extended for another 2 years. So as AS president, I hope to continue to support and stand in solidarity with our undocumented students.
All right, perfect, thank you. And with that, that concludes the questions, with the questions I have here, and Cynthia will step in.
Yes, awesome. Thank you all. We do have some questions from the audience. We received some ahead of the debates and we received some during the debate. So please give us a few minutes to view the questions and then we will ask them. So maybe wait 2-3 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes. We're going to take a look at those questions and then we'll come back and ask them. So please hang on tight. Feel free to talk to each other or just stay in silence, but please don't go anywhere. Debates is still happening. We are just going to review the questions. I'll be back. Okay, bye. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for waiting patiently. I hope you get this time to maybe use the restroom or get, I don't know, a drink of water or something. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We can't ask all the questions that we receive, so we try to filter them based on how thoughtful the questions are and how many candidates is each position. So please, I give the floor to Chris, and he will continue asking the questions.
Okay, so this question is going to be directed towards Christopher Acosta, running for Director of Intercultural Affairs. And the question is, how will you fight for mandatory diversity workshops in regards to the LGBTQ plus community?
Through collaboration with the LGBTQ plus communities and student organizations, I would like to collaborate and directly hear their concerns on that topic. But as far as creating mandatory, what was it again? Sorry.
It's mandatory diversity workshops.
Yes. As far as mandatory diversity workshops go, I feel it would be a good idea on the institution's part to institute campus-wide education on those. We do that for like Greek Life EDU and things like that. So I don't see why we can't do that for our student population as well.
Okay, thank you. We're going to be moving on to the next question. This one is going to be for both vice president candidates. I will start with Brendan. We'll get his chance to respond first. The question is, the VP is in charge of, oops, just lost the question. Hold on. There we go. The VP is in charge of making sure that the board is following the bylaws. How do you plan to hold the directors accountable? And then Brendan, you could respond first.
Great question. So most importantly, the VP is also in charge of the training for the board of directors. I would just like to say that a huge thing I would like to implement is basically just, or not implement or re-implement, is connecting with the board of directors one-on-one on top of their training as well. We, as VPs, we have to, or as your future VP, or possibly, my bad, we would have to meet with directors one-on-one. Not only would I emphasize this deeply, but just try and connect and see how they're doing, not only in their schoolwork, but most importantly in associate students.
Okay, Wesley, and you can go ahead and answer.
Yeah, I think the most important thing here is just being able to have that connection between each other that is first built on positivity and positive affirmation in order to make it more, or in order to like make any type of correction based on a bylaw more understandable. So it doesn't seem like you're just this overarching figure who's always just screaming down on people and you feel like you're more in power. So just making sure that you understand that you're both equal. And then I think it would allow any type of bylaw enforcement to come a lot smoother.
Okay, thank you both. We're gonna move on to a question now for the co-curricular affairs. Shashwa will get to answer first. And the question is, in this position, you may have to practice a great amount of adaptability. An example that they gave was the programming board puts on an AS haunted house annually, and since the house was not open last year, they had to adapt and hold an inflatable haunted house on Tower Lawn. Amidst everything that is happening due to COVID-19, how do you plan to tackle the challenges that come along with the changing norms? Not specifically what programs you would throw, but how would you work with our campus to properly adjust to still meet student needs?
Yeah, so one of the things that I mentioned earlier was the fact that I wanted to change how our food delivery service app works. It just promotes our campuses, businesses, which is good for our school, but we need to look back and think about our community as a whole. So I want to switch that to including the other businesses in our area as well. And our events and everything will be like on a timetable based on when the coronavirus slowly like dissipates or whatnot is going on. So we'll have to like just stay on top of those things. Yeah.
Okay, and Leland, a chance to answer the question as well.
Could you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. So the question basically, I'll sum it. It's a little long one. Basically, is amidst of changing norms due to COVID-19, how do you plan to tackle the challenges of the changing norms and meet student needs?
With tackling these, with the situation now, I think it's best to make sure that we prioritize our communication, definitely, since everything's virtual. With the changes with this COVID-19 is definitely going to change how the school is going to work out. So with this opportunity to slow down, take a step back, definitely reconnect with all these student organizations, and make sure that we're getting our point across and improving our communication back and forth.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on now to questions for legislative affairs. The first question, there's a few questions for legislative affairs, so we'll start off with the first question. We'll be going to Ashley. All three will be able to answer, but the first to respond will be Ashley. The question is, you were elected by the student body to represent SJSU at the California State Association in the Academic Senate. There is a vote on the floor which 80% of the student body supports. However, your ethics and morals tell you to not vote for it. How do you vote? Do you vote for the student body or what your morals are? And Ashley, you can answer first.
I think personally, even though you want to vote for what like is going to be best for the whole population, so depending on whatever it is, like if it's something that really would like improve the safety, the wellness all over CSU campuses, I think it would be best to vote in favor of it. But it's honestly just like, it depends. Like if it's something that would completely go against my morals, like obviously I'm not going to vote for it, because like you stand for what you believe in, not for what you like, for what everyone else thinks. So I think that's all I would have to say for that question.
Okay, and Shivam?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know as being a director, there are going to be many scenarios where you're going to be put into that place. And I've heard feedback from a lot of people, some advice. And I think it honestly depends on the situation. It's like, you have more information than, sometimes you might have more information than students regarding a specific issue. But I do think it is important to listen to the students' needs, because one, as being director of legislative affairs, you were voted by the students, and two, you represent the students. I believe that to be as, being a servant for students. So my number one priority would be listening to what students have to say and ensuring that the majority, all students have what they want, that the issues that they seem to see are solved the way they want.
Okay, and Cadence can go to answer.
Yeah, so as a political science student, I think we've all kind of think about, if just because it's the majority doesn't necessarily mean it is good or just. Sometimes the majority can believe something that isn't correct. There was a point in time where the majority of America was racist. So if I believe a policy is going to overstep its bounds, maybe breaks the Constitution or it infringes on someone's freedoms, I have to vote with my morals on that, and I can't willingly vote for it. So just because the majority of people believe it, I won't vote for it. But I will certainly would do my due diligence to explain to students why I believe that my choice was correct, and just try to explain that to them.
Okay, and we have one final question. It is also for you three as well. We'll go in the same order. So Ashley, you will go first. So the question is that our school is mostly funded by tuition. And one of the biggest problems that everyone has been talking about is tuition hikes. Tuition is most likely going to increase with the current pandemic, negatively impacting administration rates. How will you take a stand on the issue during the Academic Senate and a CSSA representative?
after having done research like myself, because I believe in I care about how my tuition is going to be affected this next semester. I think something important that has already been done is tuition freeze. I think Gavin Newsom last year said that tuition wouldn't be affected. And something else is not only just tuition, but other CSU fees that we have to pay, or fees we pay for on-campus resources. So how would those change next semester if we don't have access to them? How are they gonna be adjusted for students who won't be able to access such resources? I think those are questions I would consider, and I would try to tackle by doing my research and seeing how the school is gonna adjust after this pandemic, or if the pandemic is still going, how it's gonna address it.
Okay, and Shivam?
It's the same question, correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I'll just drop a quick link. It's just an article that actually talks about this situation, not this COVID, but just tuition increases. So, they did mention a tuition freeze unless funding is decreased. But honestly, in my opinion, I think in general, tuition should be decreasing, considering, most tuition pays for campus services and maintenances that we literally don't need during this pandemic. For example, it's we pay for lighting, but it's we're not even on campus, So that's one. And we genuinely paid for in-person teaching, not Zoom. I think that's one thing that people tend to forget. If we truly wanted online classes, then we would have got it, but we really didn't. And I understand this is a unprecedented moment, but we definitely want to address these issues. And yeah, as I dropped that link, and it's just an article that talks about the whole situation. And in fact, if I can pull up the number, San Jose, with the campus budget in 2018-19 with general funds and net tuition fee and other fee revenues, San Jose State had $403 million and $403,778,000 from that. Sorry, but yeah, there's definitely something that we would address if the issue comes.
Okay, and Cadence, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think short term, definitely tuition freezes are a smart idea. I think due to the current times and of the pandemic, the already constant threat of rising tuition costs has already become even more threatening. So as Director of Legislative Affairs, working with CSSA, I think will be absolutely imperative. I'm aware of two tactics that could fend off tuition hikes. First being tuition freeze. In 2010 to 2016, there was a 6-year tuition freeze. And then I would also want to advocate for legislation like 1860, like Assembly Bill 1862, which would make tuition free for promise students that have transferred from community college. While that doesn't cover all students on this campus, it would cover definitely a percentage of it. And then also we have to think about how cutting funding would affect students on campus, like success centers and the food pantry.
Okay, perfect. And that concludes the questions that we got in. So Cynthia will go ahead and take it over again.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. We do have about 9 minutes left, so I'm going to actually open up the floor to one question. We do have a few minutes. I want to make sure that we maximize the amount of time that we have. So does anybody want to speak up? Does anybody have a question? I'll kind of give you a minute or two. Anybody, you could be a candidate asking another candidate. You can be just a listener. You can be from AS, from the SEC. Come on. If not, it's okay. I can just conclude today's meeting.
Yes, I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's for legislative affairs. I noticed that a lot of times in political science, and in politics, it's easy to sort of make a lot of claims. And one of the things that the legislative affairs candidates talked about was financial aid. And I think especially in California, this is big because there's a lot more costs than in the other states for living. So for the legislative affairs candidates that asked about or talked about financial aid, what is it what have you done that actually shows that this is an issue you actually care about rather than something just to appease most of the student body? Is there anything tangible that you guys have done?
Awesome. Thank you so much for asking that question. So I guess we'll go ahead and start with Shivam.
Yeah. Great question. I don't know who asked that, so I'm sorry, can't say the name. But anyways, for the past 2 years, I've actually met with state assembly members. For example, like Ash Kalra, everyone around in this area, Kansan Chu, and all everyone. And in fact, I remember in May of 2019, the Lieutenant Governor of California actually came to our campus on San Jose State. There's actually a picture on our SJSU Instagram. And if you go on my website, you could also see different pictures of me talking to legislators. But, I've actually had the chance and opportunity to talk to high-level elected officials in our California government and talk about, these issues that students care about the most. The biggest issue I've heard many times when I talk to students is financial aid. It's hard, multiple people are having multiple jobs and they're trying to still, do as hard as try as hard as they can to pay rent and, provide food on the table, when in fact, as being the richest country in the world, I think we should focus on our education rather than being able to attend other costs. So yeah, I mean, going to chess as well. I've been
Thank you, Shivam.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks, Shivam. All right, so we'll move on to Cadence.
Yeah, so based off my previous answers to the last question, I just want to thank you, Samir, very quickly for asking your question. I see you've been very good at that. Based on my last answer, what the majority believes is right isn't always my top priority. I always go with my morals. My parents are divorced, and I live in a house with 3 rooms and 4 people. So we share. So there's a lot of sharing going along. And financial aid is very important to me, and I know it's very important to students on this campus. That is why I believe so strongly in financial aid, and that's why I want to advocate for it. I too have been to chess. I've met with political activists, and I've been a part of Lobby Corps for a long time now. So that is definitely what I would say is why financial aid is important to me.
Thank you, Cadence. And then we have our last member running for legislative, Ashley.
Personally, I didn't mention anything about tuition and financial aid in any of my previous remarks, but I would like to say that tuition and financial aid is very important to me because, I've had to work 2 jobs. I've had to move from on-campus housing to off-campus housing. I've had a lot of struggles, and tuition and boarding school was one of my top priorities. No, wait. Sorry. I'm still in the junta. Sorry, guys. It's really important to me because I am directly affected by it. And I think something really important is this one legislative bill that I had recently researched, which would remove the student verification that most students get. And that has limited me from getting financial aid previously. So I think if one person has already verified their student aid, I don't think they should have to do it again, because that is a barrier for students who struggle with that. And yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Legislative Affairs, for asking those additional questions. We're going to go ahead. I want to be mindful of time. We have 4 minutes left, so I would like to start to conclude our debate session. Feel free to show your faces or feel free to not show your faces. I just wanted to first and foremost, thank you all for participating and listening in. Candidates, you did a wonderful job. I want to congratulate all of you for making it this far, and I want to encourage you to finish strong. Please continue to use social media to promote yourself and to promote voting. Voting will begin in 4 minutes. It will begin at 7 p.m. We'll end April 16th at 8 a.m. Before concluding, I want to give a big thank you to everyone who helped with our transition to virtual elections. A special thank you to SEC members, SEC advisors, and my final thank you to Chris. You did an awesome job moderating. Thank you for continuing our collaboration with the Spartan Daily. A few of us will remain on Zoom to answer any questions and to go over any last minute details that you may have questions about. So please feel free to stay, but candidate debates is officially over. Once again, thank you all so much for joining us. And please don't forget to vote. Encourage your friends to vote. I put a little message. Oh, you guys put a lot of messages after me, but a little message of where the link is and when voting is. So once again, it starts today at 7 p.m. and ends April 16th at 8 a.m. Please reach out if you have any questions moving forward, and best of luck. You've done an awesome job, candidates. So thank you and goodbye if you want to go, or stay if you want.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hi, Cynthia.